Sick of getting blisters? Stop slipping and just be comfortable with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Great fit, great comfort, lots of grip, and an even better price. Available now at puregripsocks.com.
Whether you love them or hate them, the latest colorway pack from Nike is shocking. And as you can see by the design on the boxes, this is obviously the new Thunder pack instead of Lightning for some reason. I will give them credit though. This is a very cool box, and I'm not sure if this comes through in the video, but it has this cool kind of like rainbow holographic effect as the light hits it. And of course, what would a special edition Nike boot be without a special edition string bag, this featuring the lightning pattern found on the box as well as the boots, with the Phantom as well as the GX and Luna logos there on the front. Black strings. It gets a 4 out of 4.2, with the first of the two boots available in this pack being the Phantom GX Elite Lows, specifically the low cut version. They did not release this in the mid for whatever reason, and instead of the normal $250 retail price that this football boot normally has, this special edition colorway will run you a $25 premium, making these $285. With the second part of the pack also in Barney the Dinosaur pinkish purple, sorry you'll never be able to unsee that, being the Phantom Luna Elite, also with a premium on the normal $275 retail price, where this special edition colorway will run you $295. But of course, you almost never have to pay full retail, so if you are interested in either of these boots, you can pick them up below their normal retail prices by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the links down below. As far as colorway details go, I do think one looks significantly better than the other, but they both definitely have that kind of cheesy Instagram football boot edit from 2015 vibe about them that I just can't not think about when I see these. With my favorite of the two definitely being the Phantom GX, not only because I think the little bit of pattern that you have within the grip knit kind of breaks up what is a pretty unique and harsh purpley pink color, but I like the fact that you kind of have this almost dark navy blue to black Nike swoosh with the white outline, and then the lightning graphic that you have in the heel is just a little bit sharper and a little bit more vibrant, kind of giving a little bit of CR7 Galaxy Mercurial vibes to it, but not quite. I don't think these are anywhere near as cool. And then of course, on the sole plate, you have this really cool kind of lightning finish underneath this pearlescent color changing effect that is a wearable finish on the sole plate, so do keep that in mind. And you also have that lightning graphic on the insole as well. Here's a better look at that. Where the Lunas, in my opinion, of course, just look worse because there's less breakup within the knitted pattern itself. The boot as a whole kind of gives me this feeling that it's made out of Play-Doh. That's just the general aesthetic that I get because of this particular colorway. And then of course the lightning graphic on the heel, it's just poor quality in terms of the visual effect. You can see all the lightning is kind of fuzzy. It just looks like a graphic that was very cheaply printed. It's almost like out of focus or an image that's been stretched out. I understand what they were trying to go for, but I just don't think that the execution ends up looking very good. It almost looks like a cloudy day rather than lightning being struck across the heel of the football boot. And then the sole plate does admittedly look cool. Again, you kind of get that lightning graphic with that same color changing wearable effect, but then you also get this kind of neon yellow Cyclone 360 logo that kind of takes away from the main part of the sole plate where you would actually get to see the lightning. With the insoles also having the same lightning graphic as the GX, but with some Phantom Luna specific details. As for the performance side of things, there are some positives and some negatives around both of these football boots. However, I do ultimately feel that if you are on the market for the features on offer from the Phantom series, one is simply better than the other. Of course, it must be said that the Phantom Luna did feature a very women-specific marketing approach in terms of having features that, according to Nike, are women-specific. I don't necessarily buy into that all that much, if I'm being honest, but as I've talked about in past videos, anybody can wear the Lunas and anybody can also wear the Phantom GX. Both of these boots feature the exact same last, meaning that the shape of the boot as well as the width in every part of the foot is identical. The only variation that you're going to find between these two is that these are in women's sizing and these are in men's sizing, which is basically just a size and a half conversion that anybody could easily do, again, to wear either the Luna or the GX. With, in my opinion, the biggest difference between these two actually being something that is identical on the tech spec list, and that is the grip knit upper. The Luna has it, and so does the Phantom GX. However, they've been executed in very different ways and ultimately feel and perform quite differently as well. With the grip knit on the Phantom GX actually being a grippy yarn that covers the entire foot. Everywhere that you see that has this kind of fingerprint pattern on it has that grippy texture to it, and the amount of grip that you get is quite significant and very noticeable. It takes some getting used to, and when it comes to receiving a pass, controlling the ball, dribbling, and even shooting, you're going to notice that there is additional friction on the ball that you otherwise wouldn't have without extra elements on the surface. It's still super pliable, it's still very soft, and it's very much what I would describe as a sock-like knitted upper, something that Nike more or less popularized in the football boot market with the introduction of Flyknit, because that's effectively what the Phantom GX grip knit upper is, sticky Flyknit. Where the Phantom Luna maybe relates more back to the days of the Magista Obra or maybe even a Flyknit Hypervenom Phantom, in that there are some grippy elements to the upper. However, the grip that you're going to get is purely in the ridge texturing that you find here on the lateral side of the foot, as well as here on the medial side of the foot, and all of that additional grip is quite subtle, where when you're comparing the grip on the ball from the Luna to the GX, there really isn't any comparison. This feels grippy on the ball, and this feels generally less slick. I can't say that this has an overly sticky sensation. It doesn't feel like a lot of extra spin is being generated when it comes to shooting, and in general, this just feels like more of a plain, kind of thin, firmer Flyknit construction that we've seen from Nike quite a few times before. And that's not to say that it's bad. However, if you're looking for kind of a standout feature in what are admittedly very expensive football boots, this flagship Nike grip material definitely feels more special than what you get on the Luna. This relates to more of like the Flyknit Mercurial Superfly days, and in comparison, from a pliability and comfort perspective, this is just a much firmer, stiffer material. So if you're looking for a little bit more of a structured feel from your football boots with less grip, the Phantom Luna would be the way to go. Whereas if you want more grip and a little bit more pliability, something that feels more like a true pair of really soft socks, then the Nike grip upper of the Phantom GX is definitely going to be the one that you prefer. As far as the low cut, mid cut thing is concerned, I don't think it's really that much of a discussion topic. The Luna only comes in one variation, and that is the mid cut version that you see here, where of course the Phantom GX comes in two versions, not necessarily in this colorway. You have a low cut version with the exposed lacing system, and then you also have a mid cut version that gives you the collar as well as a lace cover. Very much a design that was originally introduced with the Nike Phantom Vision, but both realistically fit and feel pretty much the exact same. As for the sole plates and stud patterns, I think there are some pretty big differences between the two when it comes to performance characteristics as well as overall feel. Of course, with the Phantom Luna, a lot of the hype was around injury reduction, specifically as it applies to female athletes, in that this rotational Cyclone 360 design made up of 5 bladed studs is supposed to allow for a little bit less cling in the ground and more of that freedom to twist and pivot, which it does do to a certain extent. However, if I got to try both of these stud patterns without any context as to what the design was supposed to be, this feels like you have more freedom to twist and pivot than what you get with the Phantom Luna, which ultimately feels a lot like what we've been getting on the Mercurial series in terms of just being really, really aggressive. In other words, believe what you want to believe, but I personally don't buy into the injury prevention aspect of this particular Phantom Luna stud pattern. If you want more aggressive traction, go for these. If you want something slightly more traditional, but definitely still pretty aggressive, I think you'll be pretty happy with the Phantom GX, with the other main difference between these two just being the stiffness of the sole plate. The Phantom GX, relatively flexible all the way through, which I think goes well with the more flexible upper, where the Phantom Luna is definitely a stiffer feel to the sole plate. It's also a thicker plastic, and it does, to a certain extent, match the slightly more structured feel that you get to the upper. It's hard for me to say that one is necessarily better than the other, but I can tell you that there is a noticeable difference. And then there's the weight, where once again, there is a noticeable difference between these two, both in technically a men's size 9.5 US, and 11 women's would be the equivalent of a men's 9.5. You can see that the Phantom GX Elite Low, which would be the lightest version of the Phantom GX, weighs in at 7.4 ounces, the equivalent of 209 grams. Then we'll throw on the Phantom Luna, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.2 ounces, the equivalent of 233 grams. So obviously the Phantom GX is the lighter football boot. Even if this were the mid-cut variation, it only adds like 5 or 7 grams from when I've weighed it in the past. So overall, if you are looking for that lighter feel from your football boots, the GX is definitely a lighter feel than the Luna. On feet, the difference between the two Phantoms is significant, where again, I do recognize that personal preference is a huge aspect of picking out a pair of football boots. However, given the chance to try the GX side by side with the Luna, I think most people, and by most I mean 9 or 10 out of 10, would say that the GX is far more comfortable. The grip knit upper is just softer, more flexible, and in general just wraps your foot in a much more pleasant way, where the Phantom Luna, again, both the same shape, feels like it's more of a structured, force your foot into a specific shape type of fit, which some people really like. If you're a fan of that tight-fitting mercurial feel, again, the Luna might be right up your alley, but I think for most people, when it comes to just feeling good in your football boots, the Phantom GX is way more comfortable. When it comes to width and overall sizing, again, a little bit deceptive by Nike with all of the women-specific kind of marketing that went along with the Phantom Luna, but these two boots are exactly the same shape. The only reason why they feel different is because of the upper construction differences between the two. When it comes to width, they both have decent width through the heel and midfoot, but definitely taper quite significantly in the toe box and forefoot area, where because of the more structured upper that you get on the Luna, I just find the toe box in particular to be significantly less comfortable than that of the GX. But regardless, if you're really wide through the toes, neither of these would be a great option for you. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing the GXs in my usual size 9.5 US, and I'm wearing the Lunas in a women's 11, which is the equivalent in terms of length to a men's 9.5. So if you are looking to get the Luna or any other women's football boot for that matter, go up 1.5 sizes, at least when it comes to Nike, and you'll have the men's equivalent. So in conclusion, for two boots that technically feature many of the same elements, it's hard for me to say that the Phantom GX doesn't feel like a more well-rounded, special experience in terms of playing in them than what you get from the Phantom Luna. For everything that the Luna quote-unquote copies from the Phantom GX, it simply does so in a way that, in my opinion, isn't as good. And as far as all the actual unique features to the Phantom Luna are concerned, again, while personal preference does play a huge role in this, I just feel like the Phantom GX does it better. That's not to say that I think the Phantom Luna is a bad pair of football boots, but by Nike standards, they feel pretty uninspired. So if you are trying to genuinely decide between the two versions of the Phantom that are currently available, I would definitely lean towards the GX if you're looking for the more unique, special, and arguably better experience.